Good evening. Tonight is Monday, March 9th, 2026. We're here for a regular meeting of the Minnetonka City Council. I'll call this meeting to order. Those who are able, please join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, we are going to swear in the ceremonial swearing in, our newest council member, Amanda Maxwell. So Councilmember Maxwell and our city attorney, Eric Nilsson, will do that right up here.
Good evening.
Okay. All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Amanda Maxwell,
I, Amanda Maxwell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of Councilmember Ward 2
discharge the duties of the office of Councilmember Ward 2
of the City of Minnetonka
of the City of Minnetonka
in the County of Hennepin,
in the County of Hennepin,
to which I have been duly elected,
to which I have been duly elected,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilmember Maxwell. We're very excited to have you join us.
Thank you.
And we officially swore you in last week just to stay within our statutory guidelines, but I'd like in this forum offer you an opportunity to make some comments.
Sure, thank you. I'd like to first thank the City Council for the care that you put into the selection process to fill this opening. You had to balance the length of time the role would be open, the voice of the residents, and the cost to the taxpayer. So thank you for the care you put into that. And I'm pleased to fulfill my civic duty serving the City of Minnetonka and the residents of Ward 2. Local government has a tremendous impact on our daily lives, and it can move quite quickly. The council and the city policies impact our homes and our neighborhoods, impact the neighborhoods, businesses, creates and maintains the roads and the trails that we ride every day, the utilities we use every day, the safety we feel every day. I will work ethically to uphold community standards and will approach decisions with curiosity, objective data, forward thinking, respect, and fiscal responsibility. And I want to say I did not get to run for election or campaign for this appointment, and I look forward to meeting more of my neighbors in Ward 2 and throughout the city during the remainder of my term. So please, if you're in Ward 2 or in the city, reach out to me through my city email address or the phone number that's on the website. Please, please, please tell me what's important to you. I didn't get to meet you as part of the campaign process, so I'd like to hear from you. Democracy requires participation. So I'm looking forward to working respectfully and productively with community members of diverse backgrounds, different beliefs and interests from mine, knowing that what we all want is what's best for our city and our local community. Thank you, Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. And Ward 2 and the city at large is very lucky to have you, so thank you so much. All right, well, we will get started. Ms. Larson, would you please call roll?
Romali.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Foster Bolton.
Here.
Maxwell.
Here.
Wilburn.
Here.
Calvert.
Here.
Shack.
Yes. Here. All right. Item number 5 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Mr. Funk.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Have one addenda for your consideration this evening, and that's related to item 11A, which is a resolution for the Excelsior Boulevard Improvement Project. Additional public comment was received after distribution of the packet, and so that correspondence is included in your addenda for your consideration. With that, that is the only addenda for this evening, and staff would recommend approval of the agenda as amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Council? Councilmember Rameli.
I move approval of the agenda as amended.
Thank you. And Councilmember Calvert. Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Rameli, a second by Councilmember Calvert. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Rameli.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6 is approval of the minutes, and we have 3 sets of minutes: the January 26, 2026 study session, February 9th, 2026 study session, and the February 23rd regular meeting minutes. Any comments or a motion? Councilmember Wilburn.
I will make the motion to approve the minutes from January 6, 2026 study session, February 9th, 2026 study session, and February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting.
Councilmember Calvert. Second. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Calvert. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Rameli.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7 is special matters, and our first one, 7A, is recognition of the 2026 Minnetonka Academy graduates and participants, and we're excited. It looks like we have quite a few of you here. First, Mr. Funk, do you have some comments?
Thank you, Mayor Shack. I'll be brief, and I think the mayor has some other comments, but just really want to say on behalf of staff, we really enjoy this every year. Years ago, we used to do it every other year, and I think it was about 3-4 years ago, we decided to do it every year. And we've just had good participation. This might have been our biggest sign up in recent years. I think we had close to 37 signed up, which is usually up from about 10 people from previous years. So it's just really super exciting. I just want to say thank you to those that participated. They're always a great crowd. They are engaging with staff. Staff is engaging in return. And it's just really nice that we have an opportunity as staff to communicate with our residents, connect with them in ways that we normally don't. And so we enjoy this, and we're happy to announce those that participated. And I know Mayor Shack, you're going to say a few words and recognize those that attended. But really want to say thank you, and we look forward to doing this every year.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. And yes, we're excited to celebrate those who completed the Citizens Academy. It program really provides residents with valuable insight into city operations. It's a commitment, 6-week program that allows the residents to engage with city staff and learn about public safety, parks, infrastructure, planning, and that's a demonstration in and of itself to the commitment to the community. As Councilmember Maxwell said, engaging with city leaders, residents take an important step to be active in involvement in Minnetonka's future. Their dedication strengthens the city, whether through volunteering, serving on boards and commissions, or even pursuing public office. I think we have people up here who have done the academy as well. Minnetonka's success relies on passionate and informed residents, and the curiosity and commitments are so appreciative. Your involvement ensures the city remains an excellent place to live and grow. So what we're going to recognize the graduates who attended at least 4 sessions. So let's congratulate the graduates. Participants, why don't you come forward? Sarissa will help you find your certificate, and then we'll all gather for a photo. But thank you so much. Stay up here.
You could have you just stand right in that opening behind you there, just kind of fill in there, that'd be great.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
And you were like, I'm not going to scare you. Yeah, we're like, yeah, I know.
That way? Yeah. If you don't mind, I'm going to have you move a little bit, otherwise I'll have a podium in the way. And maybe 2 rows. Sorry about that. You look good. Yeah. A little bit more. Nobody wants to be in the front row. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. How about, what are the odds you can switch just a little bit that way? I hate to be so nitpicky, but awesome. That's great. Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Great job, Mike. Really, everybody did a wonderful job. Oh, good. I did the blue hat so we didn't clash.
Like it looks good.
Well, wonderful. Thanks again, and tell your friends and neighbors, recommend it for next year, because the feedback we get is people really appreciate and get a lot out of it. So thanks again. All right, moving on to item 7B, which is the Women's History Month proclamation, and I've asked Councilmember Wilburn to read that.
So this is the City of Minnetonka proclamation for Women's History Month, March 1st through 31st, 2026. Whereas Women's History Month is observed annually in March to honor and celebrate the vital contributions of women in history, culture, and society. And whereas throughout history, women of all backgrounds have played an integral role in shaping our communities, breaking barriers, and making significant advancements in civil rights, science, education, business, government, the arts, as well as the unpaid labor of mothers, caretakers, and homemakers. And whereas, despite the immense progress made, women continue to face challenges in achieving full equality and representation in various aspects of society, making it essential to recognize their achievements and continue striving for equity and justice. And whereas the right for all women to vote and lead an elected office had to be fought for by countless women across the countless women across the country, some women running for office even before they themselves were allowed to vote. And whereas progress for the rights of women have often left out Indigenous women and women of color, making it even more important for us to stay committed to racial equity and inclusion to create a more just and inclusive community for all. And whereas this month provides an opportunity to reflect on the extraordinary legacies of women who have paved the way for future generations while reaffirming our commitment to advancing gender equity and inclusion, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Minnetonka City Council hereby declare the month of March as Women's History Month in the City of Minnetonka.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilburn, and I must say, I think we should note this is our first regular city council meeting with an all-female city council, so we are, thank you. We're all very grateful for those who blazed the trail before us to make this possible, and don't usually make editorial comments on this, but it seemed like the right time, so thank you, Councilmember Wilburn. Before we move on to item 8, I neglected to mention with all of the stuff we had at the beginning of our agenda that as we approach item number 8, item number 9, citizens wishing to discuss matters not on the agenda. For those of you who haven't been here recently, we did change our structure at the beginning of the year, and we asked that folks fill out one of these little cards that are in the lobby out front if they intend to speak, and we are limiting this year. We've limited comments for that agenda item to 3 minutes, so keep that in mind as you prepare your remarks. All right, moving on to item number 8, reports from city manager and council members. Mr. Funk.
Yeah, thank you again, Mayor, and welcome council and to our residents this evening. Just a couple things for you tonight. First, just want to talk on the hiring front. We are advertising for election judges for the August 11th primary and the November 3rd general election. So I just want to restate that. So it's the August 11th primary and November 3rd general election. As we all know, election judges play an important role in ensuring Minnetonka's elections run smoothly and with integrity. And so if people have interest in serving as an election judge, feel free to go to our website and look to apply. And then also this summer, the city will hire more than 200 seasonal employees to mow parks, run our recreational programs, inspect city trees, staff Shady Oak Beach, and much more. Seasoned employees also are vital to helping the city operate during the busiest time of our year. So if you or you know someone that is interested in looking for certain summer employment, we have opportunities. Third, I just want to mention then, coming up on March 28th is Minnetonka's annual Spring Extravaganza. That'll be held at the Community Center from 10 to 11:30. I'll likely mention this also at the next council meeting before then. Events include scavenger egg hunt, photos with the Easter Bunny, live music, face paintings. This is a great family event and appreciate our rec staff that hosts that each year. And then finally, I just want to end in memory to Sean Johnson. It is, and I have a statement that I just want to read through, and I think it's worth celebrating the accomplishments of one of our firefighters here at the city. It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Deputy Fire Marshal Sean Johnson of the Minnetonka Fire Department, who died after a courageous 2-year battle with cancer. Sean served the community of Minnetonka for 20 years. During his years as a paid on-call member, Sean also served as both a lieutenant and training captain. In 2016, Sean was hired full-time as a fire inspector within the department's Fire and Life Safety Division, where his strong knowledge of the fire code and attention to detail became evident. His leadership and expertise led to his promotion of Deputy Fire Marshal in 2023, a role which he served with distinction. In his role with the Fire and Life Safety Division, Sean had the opportunity to build strong relationships with business owners and property managers throughout the community. He worked tirelessly to ensure that the places where people live and work were safe, applying his deep knowledge of fire prevention and code enforcement with professionalism and genuine care for others. Sean was passionate about training and developing firefighters across Minnesota. He taught and tested firefighters throughout the Minnesota Fire Service Certification Board, traveling statewide to support departments of all sizes. His ability to educate, mentor, and inspire made him a respected resource throughout the fire service. He is also a nationally certified fire inspector and was widely recognized for his skill, his thoroughness, and professionalism. He served on the board of directors as vice president of the Minnesota chapter of the International Association of Arson Investigators and was honored as Minnesota Fire Investigator of the Year in 2020, reflecting his excellence in the field. From 2011 to 2014, Sean served with the Hennepin County Fire Investigation Team, and in every role he served there, including investigator, team lead, leadership, and team supervisor. His expertise was technical, and he had a steady presence, was instrumental in strengthening the team and improving investigative capability throughout the region. We're not quite sure when the service arrangements will be, council and community, but we'll certainly let you know once the family has made some decisions. Our fire department and Chief Fox are working closely with Sean's family at the time to support them in every way possible. Deputy Fire Marshal Sean Johnson's integrity, commitment, and service to the Minnetonka fire community will not be forgotten. So thank you for letting me read a little bit about Sean. He will be deeply missed here at the city and amongst our department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few, first of all, happy Women's Month. And I just want to extend my deepest condolences to Deputy Fire Marshal Johnson's family. I'm the wife of a retired firefighter, and cancer is something that disproportionately affects firefighters. And there actually was an ad on TV yesterday with a bunch of firefighters, one at a time, from our metropolitan area saying who they were, what their role was in the fire department, that they have cancer. So one of the things I just wanted to mention is that over the last few years, when we built our new fire headquarters here, we redesigned it so that the items that firefighters bring into the firehouse are left on the outside. So all of the washing facilities and everything that they can wash their gear and not drag carcinogens through the firehouse is something that I'm really proud of our staff for thinking about and working on and accomplishing. So I just wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to thank staff and the mayor and everyone, and specifically Sarissa Sareki for a wonderful State of the City event. It was very well attended, and it highlighted, first of all, our pizza restaurants, which you can never get enough of, and our wonderful Rotary provided libations, but most importantly, it provided a forum for several of our key nonprofits to have a conversation with the mayor and highlight the important work that they're doing to support our community in this time of crisis. And I just thought it was just very timely and wonderful information, and just a great opportunity for people to see the amazing work that's being done in our city. And just a few days later, our DEI coordinator, Jace Alexander, had organized a community crisis conversation by Zoom with faith leaders, nonprofit leaders, school leaders, and several of us here on the dais also attended by Zoom. And it also just, it was a wonderful opportunity for people that are doing the work and seeing what's going on in the community could share the state of affairs, their needs, and what they're doing to address them. And there are going to be additional meetings. So it was very worthwhile, and it also made me very proud of our staff for coordinating a really important conversation like that.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvert. Anybody else? All right, not seeing any. I've just got a couple things. Yes, I too want to express my condolences to Deputy Fire Marshal Sean Johnson's family and his colleagues in the fire department. It's, you know, that's a tough job, and made tougher by kind of the vulnerabilities that folks face when they serve the community in this way. So we certainly show our extreme gratitude for his service. The state of the city was really fantastic. I encourage folks to, they don't have to watch the part about me, they can skip that, but online the panel is available and you can watch, and we had we had individuals from his house, from ICA, Relate Counseling and Sojourner, and really dug fairly deep into the type of work they provide, how that work has changed in the past several years and in the past few months, and I think is well worth watching if you have a moment. Finally, I want and thank Councilmember Calvert for discussing the community crisis collaboration that we did. That I thought was really, really well done, and it was an opportunity for those who are serving the community on the front lines of what's been happening with Operation Metro Surge to really just get together and have some conversations. I was at the Regional Council of Mayors meeting today, and amongst many, we had a full agenda, but one of the topics was the state of Minnesota established a long-range planning team last year, and the idea is to look out many years to kind of make sure decisions that are being made at the statewide level are being made with the future in mind and across multiple agencies and levels of government. It was really interesting, and they had set a theme for the year, which is leaning into hope. And I think that's something that it resonated with me as we think about the future, and really the idea that we can be very fatalistic, and sometimes that's the inclination, and I certainly find myself there sometimes, or we can and one of the comments that was made during the presentation was, we don't have to accept how the future unfolds, but we can participate in shaping it. And I found that to be a good frame of mind from which to look at how we continue to serve the city as a council and how we all show up here and try to make good decisions despite some of the more challenging things that might be going on in our world. So with that, I thought I would just share that little tidbit from today. Council, anything else? All right. Well, we will move along to item number 9, which is citizens wishing to discuss matters not on the agenda. And I have 2 cards here. So we will have Angie Heitzman speak first, and then followed by Jonathan Kent. And just a reminder that your 3-minute timer is right there. So Angie, please come forward.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again. I know that Sarah Mayer wanted to talk to her card will still be in the box, so.
Okay.
Okay, thanks to all of you here for the opportunity. I'm Angie Heitzman, Ward 1. I'm here today to talk about communication with city residents about City of Minnetonka's efforts during Operation Metro Surge and at present and resources available to residents during this ongoing crisis that many residents continue to experience. Despite the supposed ending of the surge, reports suggest that about 650 agents remain in Minnesota. We know they're still here because they continue to carry out operations and we see them in the community. In fact, yesterday I observed ICE agents in Minnetonka. Their methods are changing, but they're still here, different vehicles, more Minnesota plates. Many of these plates are expired. They're using more trickery to entrap people, and the harassment's continuing. There are still families who are not leaving their homes and children not attending school. There are still community patrols ensuring children make it to and from school safely, delivering food, medications, and supplies, and donating large quantities of money for rent assistance and more. Yet, there's nothing on the city's website right now that points residents toward community services available to them. There's not any mention of the available rental assistance from the city. The city's homepage doesn't mention anything. The city's I Want to link does not offer anything. The services link does not either. There's nothing else on the Our Cities link, government link, or business link. The only information can be found when digging around is in the news link, which is seen at the top of the homepage in small letters and a small banner. When on the news page, the initial page you pull up will have 20 items that are archived news. There's no mention of anything until the 9th item down, which says the City Coalition calls for emergency aid, which is about municipal aid only. Then the next item is about small business aid. And then there's a message from the mayor, which is the 19th item down. So none of these items talk about resources available to residents or reaching out to residents at all. The ideal time from my point of view to reach residents is the Minnetonka memo, which is mailed to everybody. And in this issue, there was nothing. In last issue, there was nothing. So I know that you guys talk about things going on, but nobody knows what is being done. The residents aren't feeling supported. Other communities have obvious things on their websites. I scoured today and saw a lot. I welcome you to take a look and see what possible things exist for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heitzman. Mr. Kent.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would like to echo essentially everything the previous speaker brought up. I do think the city is hopefully doing its best to proactively communicate. I do see that effort happening on some baseline level, and then I do think that if this has not already been considered, putting yourselves in the shoes of those who are at the margins the most, who don't even feel probably safe enough to even come to this meeting, think about that. That's a luxury that a lot of us have, either based on our last names, our skin color, where we were born, when we were born, all that stuff. So in addition to that, I'm here to speak about an item that is very much related in one regard, and I would say is a call to action, if you will. There's another resident and myself who we've been hard at work, especially recently, in trying to take in a timely manner ongoing discussions and debates that the council has had regarding not only the Metro Surge, Operation Metro Surge, but also the direct effect it's having on residents here and the local community. And specifically, this is in regards to the resolution that ultimately did not pass, and I understand why that happened. I was in that, observing that meeting in person. And this is really more of a follow-on to that, to try to offer up an addendum, if you will, or suggestion coming directly from myself as a resident and, again, some other concerned community members. In summation, essentially, there was a portion of that discussion that was focused a lot more on the pre-eviction notice period. And as everybody, I think, knows, but just as some context, the state has a 14-day minimum. And what we're calling for is for the city to establish a lengthier period. And it did seem like there is interest and appetite, if you will, on the council's part to at least consider this matter. I think having public discussion robustly and hopefully in collaboration with whether it's staff or with one another, with residents, I think there's a lot that could be done here. I've along with many others who are a lot more informed on these matters, we put forward some suggestions to a couple of council members already, and happy to speak further to those, but it essentially would call on the city to specifically establish a 60-day extension, if you will, or expansion, and then that could be moved back down to a 30-day. So there's more on that. I think this is something that could do a world of good, and it's very doable. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Kent. All right, Sarah Alman. I'm going to get it right one of these weeks. It's Almain. Okay.
The spot is starting to feel really familiar. Good evening, everybody, again. My name is Sarah Almain. I'm a Minnetonka resident in Ward 4. I'm here once again tonight speaking on behalf of both my immediate neighbors and the larger Minnetonka community. In February, I stood here at 2 separate council meetings and asked all of you on the city council and the city staff to be loud and then to be louder in support of and advocacy for efforts to protect all of us, immigrant and otherwise, from unconstitutional and inhumane activities by ICE. It occurred to me you might hear me better this way. This past week, I received my monthly copy of the Minnetonka Memo. It's really pretty. I like it. And I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. It looks great. According to the memo, life in Minnetonka appears to be going along swimmingly, with the possible exception of tax notices arriving. And I'd like to go on record here as being not in opposition to taxes. They make all of our lives easier, so I have no objection to that. What I noticed, though, is that there's no mention of ICE activity in our city. There's no mention of how the city might assist residents with rent. There's no mention of how our police department is or is not assisting ICE. Those issues are also not addressed on city social media pages. Those issues are also not addressed on the city website, except in obscure corners. And if I were an immigrant who was afraid to come out of my house, digging down into the bowels of the city website would not be my first choice of places to get help. So my question is it possible that those are not issues in our city? City communications suggests that this is the case. I don't agree that this is not an issue in our city. I spend many, many, many hours and many dollars of my own money each week patrolling, protesting, dispatching, and perhaps most significantly, providing mutual aid to my neighbors. All of my activities suggest that ICE issues do indeed exist in our city. So why are you so quiet? Why is it so difficult to address the ICE issue and all of the resulting tragedies publicly and loudly? My kids carry a protest sign that say it's time to use our outside voices. We could use that here. Why is it so hard to reassure all of the residents of Minnetonka, documented or undocumented, citizen or non-citizen, white or black or brown, that you will stand up for them and defend them and support them? Borrow a page from Denver, Colorado, please.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, we will move on to item 10, which is bids and purchases. We have none. Item 11 is a consent agenda, and this is typically items that are routine in nature. I would note, I'm going to just take the affirmative step right now. We've only got one item on the consent agenda, item 11A, and upon reflection with Mr. Funk earlier today, and based on some conversations that the council had with him as well, we're going to pull that item. And what I will say is the council talked at length about this project at a study session in February, in which staff received quite a bit of guidance and direction from the council. But that said, upon further reflection, we agreed that we wanted one more opportunity to have some discussion. I think we know generally we've talked quite a bit about this, so we don't want to get too caught up in it, but we do want to give everybody an opportunity to say anything more that they feel they need to say. So we will start with Mr. Funk.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll just quickly, in a second, turn over to Mr. Manchester, our Public Works Director. As the Mayor mentioned, that just reflecting back on that study session, we just want to make sure that staff has correctly and accurately kind of reflected the council direction. And so the council talked at length about addressing the sidewalk on both sides of Excelsior Boulevard, and provided comments to staff about what that could look like, really trying to minimize impacts. And so staff has been working on design, and Mr. Manchester will, I think, show you some improvements that will minimize impacts throughout that section of the corridor that we heard from. So with that, if it's all right, Mayor and Council, I turn it over to Mr. Manchester at this time, where he'll do some reflection on some of those design features that I think will, again, ease some of those concerns that we've heard. So with that, Mr. Manchester.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Mr. Manchester.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Funk, Mayor Shack, and Council. Just to kind of run through quickly, I've got about 8 slides. I'll just make it brief, but certainly open it up to questions after that, anything we might have missed. And Phil Olson and Mitch Hatcher are here as well from engineering, who are working on this project. Our motion tonight, as you've seen in the past, is to receive the feasibility report, approve the concept, order the improvements, and then authorize the prep of the plans and the specs, as well as the easement acquisition. As you've already mentioned, on September 23rd, Council did review this. At that time, they just looked at an amendment to the CIP to kind of look at some preliminary design. And then in December 8th, at that City Council meeting, we presented the action that's before you tonight. At that time, Council chose to table the item as they were concerned about impacts for the sidewalk trail, on both sides. As mentioned, we did discuss it at length at the February 9th study session, and then that's why we're back here tonight. At that time, we did come back to this meeting with trail proposed on both sides, and then we were directed to look to make sure to minimize impacts as much as possible. Just some of the highlights, we've done this on other projects. In the areas there's significant property impacts, retaining walls, easements, natural resources, we do look at design modifications, and we did on this project as well, and will continue to do so during final design. Any residents or others that may be concerned about impacts, we work directly one-on-one or as groups or whatever is needed. We have done this on Plymouth Road, Excelsior, Minnetonka Boulevard, and Hopkins Cross Road. All those projects included modifications to reduce impact in specific areas. Part of this, Hennepin County, their active transportation committee does review the project and has reviewed it with trail on both sides. Also, council directed us to look at native plantings in a number of areas, and so we've incorporated some of those things as well, and we'll continue to do so. And then finally, the Havenwood area sidewalk at the study session, we did discuss adding that, which is a sidewalk extension adjacent to the project. It would be just west of 101 on Old Excelsior Boulevard. Here's kind of an example, if I could just highlight this with the mouse. If you can see on the left side of your screen, here's an example near Scenic Heights where the trail is shown in pink. This is our standard section of the 6-foot boulevard with the 8-foot trail. As we came through, this was our standard section. Since that time, and as discussed at the council study session, if you look on the right side, we maintain the boulevards near the pond area, but then immediately adjacent to the townhomes, we move to the back of the curb in this area with just a 2-foot required Hennepin County safety buffer. In this section, we also move into the street, so the trail construction, the curb is actually placed further in the existing roadway. So the actual impacts end up being, approximately 6 to 8 feet behind the existing curb versus what could be potentially up to 15 in that area. So that's an example. Here's just kind of a photo of the example. This is something we did on Minnetonka Boulevard in 2023. So on the right side, or on the left side, you can see the trees and shrubs in this area. If you look at the right side, you can also see those exact same trees and shrubs. And in this area, we pulled the trail construction similar to what I just discussed. And the other, we pull it into the roadway further to minimize those impacts. So we do this in a number of areas wherever we can, just to make sure we limit those impacts as much as possible. Those are the primary examples I wanted to show you tonight, but this is our recommendation. As mentioned before, I'll certainly turn it back to the council and mayor for any questions or anything else we can address. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Manchester. Let's start for any questions you may have for staff. Does anybody have any questions? Councilmember Coakley.
I guess I have a question. We had received a letter from a resident, Cindy, I didn't catch her last name. She had mentioned about maybe narrowing the trails a little bit more, and I'm wondering, is there any way that we could possibly narrow the trails more to lessen the impact on the residents' home in that area?
Mr. Manchester.
Councilmember Coakley, Mayor and Council, the area that I actually showed you was in the area that she had, that's where that property is. So I wanted to use that as an example because we knew that council had received that. So, we looked at potentially narrowing the actual trail, but we felt in this case maintaining the 8 feet, in discussing with the county as well, if we can move the trail into the road even further, we could minimize the impacts enough where we felt comfortable with what we were doing. And so that's what we're proposing at this point.
Okay, one more question.
Go ahead.
I just want to bring this up, and maybe you can just answer the questions, because Cindy has really been pushing, suggestions, and I spoke with her on the phone. She sent all of us an email, and I just want to make sure that we are addressing her concerns and some of the other residents' concern. And so there's a couple possibilities that she listed in this letter, 1, 2, and 3. I'm sure you have it. And I'm wondering, could you just go down and address each one of those questions so that we can make sure that, she's clear about, we have tried our best to address her questions, and that staff is really considering her bullet points.
Mr. Manchester.
Yes, Councilmember Coakley, Mayor and Council, I'm just pulling up the email here. Apologies on the delay. The first bullet, one-sided pedestrian path, and split the property take for each side. And so, just following our discussion at the study session, we're still proposing the 2. And so we feel like the impacts are, as minimum as possible for both sides, as we discussed last week. The second one, modify the size of the boulevard from 6 to 4, And, in this case, we actually modified it to 2, and so we reduced it even further in this area. And then the third one, consider putting in no-mow or other native-friendly plantings on the boulevard. Do not put turf grass, it becomes unsightly, as has been demonstrated on the east side of Glen Lake. And so it's something we'll look at certainly we'll use it wherever possible. There are some areas we do like to mow for sight lines and other things, but it's something we would certainly look at as we go through the design.
Thank you, Mr. Manchester. All right, council, any other questions? Councilmember Rameli.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you just confirm for me, quickly, what the reduction was then in terms of the curb line, like the movement, did you say 6 or 8 feet in from the current curb?
Sure, Councilmember Rameli,
In that area.
and Mayor. In this area, we looked at, this area specifically, it was around 4 to 6. Some areas can be 8. It just depends on the area of the roadway. When the original road was paved, it just depends on the section. But in this case specifically, 4 to 6 feet roughly.
Okay, I'm sure that'll be good news because there's not very much, if any, room between the roadway and the driveway, and then it's like 20 feet to that resident's front door, and they do not have any backyard because the wetland literally goes up to their deck line. So I really appreciate the work that staff has done to kind of minimize impacts for that stretch of neighbors.
All right, council, anything else? All right, this isn't technically a public hearing, but we will take an opportunity to have one comment card, and so we will take comments from the Mark Robb. Please come on up. And we may or may not have the timer ready, but we've got 3 minutes allocated for you.
I haven't prepared this. I didn't expect I'd be talking to everyone in this manner. I do live on Excelsior Boulevard. I'm a few doors from Woodland Road, and I'm a retired professional driver. I drove for Metro Transit for 33 years, so I've had ample opportunity to view traffic, vehicle movement, behavior of people, and other equipment. My suggestion is that if you eliminate the center lane, say between Woodland Road and Scenic Heights Drive, the center turn lane is really important because the density of residences between those two streets on Excelsior is higher than most of the rest of the street. And as a result, if you have a 2-lane road with what I would suppose that you would do, to have a solid double yellow lane in the middle, you're going to make traffic conditions on that street very different. So different that a lot of people aren't going to recognize it as the same street that they've been on, as I have for 40 years. So I would like to suggest that you seriously consider the possibility of retaining that center turn lane between Scenic Heights Road and Woodland Road, maybe with some duration before each of those so it tapers off comfortably for people who would be using it, but nonetheless giving people the opportunity to be in that center lane when they need to turn in or come out of their driveways during rush hour or not rush hour, when there's a lot of fire engines, ambulances, UPS, postal service that are accommodating and taking up these roads in front of them. That's my major thing. I also think that the use of a trail on the north side is probably something that should be thought of more carefully, because if you're reducing the width of the road overall from, say, 42, 44 feet, at least on my part of the Excelsior Boulevard area, to, say, 32 feet, there's no fog lane on the right side of the actual curb. So there's no way for people, let's say a breakdown occurs, to get out of the way of traffic. So this center lane, further, you need that center lane, and if you put a trail on both sides, north and south, you're going to make that almost impossible. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. All right, council, so we've spent quite a bit of time analyzing this project, but I want to give everybody an opportunity. If you have something that you want to share, insights, now's your chance. Councilmember Coakley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make one more comment in regards to the turnabouts. I did talk to a resident this weekend on Friday, again, who also didn't agree with the turnabouts. I did talk to Mike as well today and informed him that, you know, we were, I guess, using turnabouts for traffic control and looking at speeding, but we haven't really considered the turnabouts for traffic being backed up on Excelsior. I also live off of Excelsior, and I know when I come out during the morning time at school hours times, traffic is really backed up, and it takes some time to come off of the side streets onto Excelsior. And so even though, you know, this may, you know, get approved, I just really want to state on record that I know that I don't think this would solve the problem of traffic being backed up, but maybe it will help with, you know, folks speeding. And furthermore, since I've been on the council, I don't hear a lot about speeding on Excelsior. I hear more about speeding on Woodland Street versus Excelsior. So I don't see this as solving the problem of speeding on Excelsior. I see it more so of causing traffic being backed up versus, you know, controlling traffic. So that's just my comment I want to make.
Councilmember Rameli.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to the residents' points, I just was wondering if staff could maybe address either of those. I'm not quite sure I'm visualizing where that center lane supposedly is disappearing from, and what are the constraints and issues with traffic being able to pull over to the side and so forth.
Sure. Councilmember Raley, Mayor, and Council, you know, we have spoken with the resident in the past. You know, certainly we share the concern. I think some of the concern is primarily the roadway is narrowing in a lot of places, and so, you know, there's less space at times. It's something we're still comfortable with in Hennepin County. You know, so there would be at times less space to pull off, or, you know, somehow the configurations are slightly different. We don't have the, you know, we don't share the same concern necessarily. So we're comfortable with the design and in the areas that people could use the roadway.
And if I could just follow up, I mean, this kind of design has been used elsewhere in the cities, and this type of design, have we had any issues, you know, similar to the residents' express concern?
This design is similar for, you know, something Hennepin County would do. You know, we certainly would look at what the resident is concerned about as we do the, you know, as we move into final design. We'll try to look at areas too, and we certainly don't dismiss the concern at all. We'll try to make sure that we can do everything we can to make those spaces.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. We got some communication. Some of them have been addressed, and it certainly, even in the presentation, but first of all, this came to us in a regular meeting, and we did delay the vote so that we could have more robust conversation, which I thought was illuminating and really important. And we got a lot more information, and, you know, have discussed it several times now. So I just wanted to reassure residents that we have a lot more information to work with now than we did before. And we had a recent study session where we did review this and really kind of dove into the problems of all of the things that we've been talking about up here that the residents have brought up, and also just the enormity of an undertaking like this, both in logistics, disruption, and money. And so I don't think any of us, we're excited to do the right thing by the community and have safe ways of getting east and west on both sides of the road for bikers and pedestrians. I live on Baker Road, where a trail is going to be going in at the same time in my yard. So we will be going through this together, and I I really encourage you, please reach out to staff. You know, some of the things that people have talked about is they're losing some of their native plantings. Staff has committed to putting in native plantings as much as possible, tree replacement to the extent possible, and trees are literally, I was known as the tree lady when I was on the planning commission, and I still am the tree lady. So it's something that I've talked to staff about, I've talked to the consultants about, and I will fight for trees. And I just want to thank staff for the work that they're doing for working with the county to be more flexible in their design to accommodate some of the challenges that our residents are facing. And I know that staff has open lines of communication. We'll be reaching out to people as the project moves forward, and I know there will be a project page that will give you warnings about what's coming up, and so that you can sort of prepare if there's going to be a big disruption. So sign up for the project page. And in terms of roundabouts, I specifically, after door knocking this summer, 4 years after I door knocked the same area where there are huge traffic backups from an elementary school that's an immersion school, I have talked to staff about working with, I know that they have already had conversations with the school district to address the significant backups and stacking issues and traffic issues during pickup and drop off. I do think that the roundabouts will be helpful because you don't have to stop and you just keep moving, and it helps traffic flow. So I actually think the roundabouts may be helpful. And but one of the reasons why people keep on asking if we could give up some of the trail on the north side, and it would be a tremendous financial loss if we had to revisit that issue in the future. This is a county road, and it's the county design standard to have it on both sides, and we were uncomfortable with it, but because of the way that staff is working to minimize the impacts, we felt we really have to weigh the impact to individual neighbors against the benefit to the entire community. And so while I still wrestle with that, and I'm acutely aware of how it's going to impact some of the people in the room or the people that have contacted us, I'll be going through the same thing on Baker Road at the same time. So please feel free to reach out to me. And I just want to thank staff for putting in this extra work and explaining it to us, and having the neighborhood meeting, open house, and having those huge maps was really helpful.
Council, anything else we need to talk about? Councilmember Coakley.
I do want to just thank staff, because I know staff have put a lot of time into this project. I know that staff took extra time to go to the residents' house and answer questions. I was there with them. And so I do want to, thank staff for doing that work and just really putting in the time. And I know that residents are not all happy with this project, including myself on some with the roundabouts for me. But I do understand why, the city is making the decision that we're making, because what Councilmember Calvert just stated about, saving money for residents. This does help save our taxpayers. So I know we talk about that a lot, and so I just want to thank staff for what you all have done. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else? I'll just make a couple brief comments. I'll reiterate, staff has done a tremendous job on this, indulging us on kind of a second go round to understand it better. Really appreciate that. And also the community for being engaged. And I think you, as often happens, your input has made the project better. And as happens with these projects, that those conversations continue with each individual residence as easements are required, as details are worked out. I mean, it's really pretty cool cool, I work closely related to some work on 494, and, the resident on 490, off 494 can't come to the person working on the project and ask them to make adjustments or whatever. But there is that one-on-one dialogue, and the folks in the audience here know that. And they do a great job. So we're really appreciative. I also want to thank Hennepin County for bearing with us. They're great partners to us, and we're very lucky to get this project and get their cost sharing on it. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So this is a good project. I will say, I used to be, my predecessor would talk about the roundabouts by Southdale, and I think if those were the roundabouts you knew, you were real skeptical of roundabouts for a while. Then we added roundabouts on Ridgedale Drive, and that is a route I take almost daily home from work, and I will say it has vastly improved. It has done two things. It's vastly improved the traffic and the length of time it takes to get along that stretch, and slowed speeds down. So that's kind of a 2-for-1 in my opinion. So it's changed my tune quite a bit on roundabouts. So with that, I think we have support for this project. So I will ask for a motion. Councilmember Foster Bolton.
I move to adopt the attached resolution, receiving the feasibility report, approving the concept layout, ordering the improvements, authorizing preparations of plans and specifications, and authorizing easement acquisition for the Excelsior Boulevard Improvement Project, project number 27305.
Thank you. And Councilmember Wilburn.
And I will second.
Great. I have a motion by Councilmember Foster Bolton, a second by Councilmember Wilburn. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Romalee?
Yes.
Coakley?
Yes.
Foster Bolton?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
Wilburn?
Yes.
Calvert?
Yes.
Shack?
Yes, motion carries. Thanks again to everybody, and our phone numbers, our email addresses are on the website, so if issues arise, please don't hesitate to reach out to staff or to one of us, and we can put you in touch with somebody to address those. So thanks again for coming tonight. All right, moving along, we have item number 12, which is the consent agenda items requiring 5 votes. We have none. Item 13, which is introduction of ordinance, we have none. Item 14, public hearings, we have none. Item 15, we have other business, and we do have other business. So 15A, the 2026 assessment report, and does that go right to you, Ms. Putz?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Shack and Council. I'm Melanie Putz, the City Assessor, and I'm here tonight to provide you a summary of the 2026 assessment report. So before I begin, I'd like to recognize our assessing staff who worked on the 2026 assessment and assisted in the writing of this report. Our appraisal staff includes Aaron Kastner, our commercial appraiser, Amy Weber, Amy Chilson, and Michelle Lee, our residential appraisers, and Lori Goodman, our assessment specialist. So before I dig into all of the data and the numbers of the report, I wanted to briefly go over how we get there. So first, after we conclude our local board meetings annually is really when we start working on the next year's assessment. And so that process starts with our revaluation or quintile reviews of 20% of the city's properties. We are required by law to view each property in the city at least once every 5 years. So during this time, staff is busy inspecting properties, and we do send letters out to all the properties in every neighborhood before we go out and inspect properties. Then in the fall, we review all the permits that have occurred within the last year. Similarly, staff will send out letters to properties who have pulled significant permits that would affect their property value and look to communicate with those residents on the improvements made and discuss the work and possibly see the work at that time. Next, we do a sales study analysis every fall This is a big part of the mass appraisal process that we use to value properties.
Ms. Putz, I'm going to just interrupt you for a second. Folks, if you want to have a discussion, please, there's plenty of room out there, and you can feel free to have a discussion, but this is an important agenda item. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Putz.
Thank you. Our annual sales study runs October 1st through September 30th every year, and these sales for this assessment occurred from October 1st, 2024 through September 30th of 2025. Then we have January 2nd, that's our assessment date set by state statute. And then in mid-January, we turn in our assessment to Hennepin County, where they review it before it is sent to the Department of Revenue. Once the assessment is turned in, we get ready to send our value notices and work through a lot of appeal calls. We did just send our value notices, and they may have hit your mailboxes today, in fact. And then we do hold our local Board of Appeal and Equalization meetings in April, where our City Council does act as our local board. And then lastly, in June, the County Board of Appeal and Equalization is held for those that wish to continue their appeal. So here we look at the assessed market value of the city, the total value over the years. And this year we have the total estimated market value at $14.56 billion. This is about a $700 million increase from last year, about 5.2%. Here we break down the overall value change by the most common property types. These are overall growth numbers that we refer to as gross percentage change, and they include all the new construction. So single household residential market was up 6.6%, while Lakeshore was up 10.2%. Condominiums were up 1.2%, and townhomes 2.1%. Our apartment market increased by 5.3%. And commercial properties were up by 1.4% and industrial 1.1%. Here we'll look at the number of single household sales. Sales volume did trend upward for the 2025 sales study. This could be due to modest dips in mortgage rates, but there remained relatively low supply of homes on the market over the last year. And this information we receive from all these sales is what we use to establish our market values annually. Okay, this chart illustrates the inventory of single household homes by sale price, referring to the 387 sales on the previous slide. We can see that less than 1% of sales were less than $300,000. About 20% fall between $300,000 and $450,000. Then the rest of sale prices over $450,000 comprise the 79% of sales, and 35% sold for more than $700,000. Here's a look at our median home value, which continues to grow, with the 2026 median value increasing to $549,000 from last year at $521,300. This shows us positive signs that the residential market in Minnetonka remains strong. Here we compare us to our comparable cities that surround us. This year, the Minnetonka residential market was leading the pack at 5.8% and falling above the average as well. Now we'll move into some commercial, industrial, and apartment data. This graph shows the overall or gross historical value changes, including new construction again. The commercial industrial properties are shown in a blue and the apartments are in the red. As we see here, the combined commercial industrial properties shows an increase of 1.3% and the apartment market increased 5.3%. Here is a little breakdown of the commercial and industrial market a little further. So that 1.3% we saw on the previous slide is made up of primarily office, industrial, and retail. There are a few other small sectors. We see the office market increasing just under 1% this year. We are still seeing effects from the pandemic and many companies working from home, so vacancy rates remain high on our office properties. Industrial market continues to steadily increase with moderate growth. Rents remain high there as well as low vacancies. And then the retail market was up almost 2.5%, and that continues to be a strong sector of our commercial market. Here we look at the net change in commercial properties compared to the cities surrounding us. Our net change was just almost flat, 0.1%, and it's just below the average of our comparable cities at 0.2%. This can vary from year to year as each city is impacted differently depending on their different types of commercial value that they hold. And now we'll look at our tax court work. Another important function of our staff is working on the tax court appeals. The most recent statistics available are for the 2024 values payable in 2025, which, if you can see here, our total number of cases increased from 67 to 83, and the total value of those cases was $2.13 billion, increasing as well. In the calendar year 2025, staff closed out 87 cases compared to 70 in the previous year. And the number of closed cases can fluctuate annually based on the tax court calendar and our proactive approach to working with attorneys and property owners to settle future years. Here we'll take a look at tax capacity. This chart shows who bears the burden of the property taxes in Minnetonka. So on the left, we have the market value. On the right, the tax capacity, or you could call it burden. Looking at the two charts, we see that residential property types make up 73% of the total value of the city. However, their burden is only 64%. This is because they have a lower tax capacity rate compared to the commercial industrial properties. And similarly, although commercial industrial properties make up 14.5% of our city's value, their tax burden is 24% due to the higher tax capacity rate set by state legislature. The tax capacity and property class can change annually based on changes in growth of different property classes and also can be affected by state law changes. Here's a quick look of the tax capacity breakdown year over year. So looking at 25 compared to 2026, we can see a 1% shift from commercial industrial to residential. All right, here we'll have a review of the appeals process, which is important with value notices hitting the mail today. You may already be familiar with this. Once property owners receive their value notice, the first step is to contact our assessing staff. The contact information is listed right on the value notice, and the majority of property owners' concerns can be resolved at this level. However, if the property owner is not satisfied with staff's decision, they do have the opportunity to formally appeal to the local Board of Appeal and Equalization. As I stated before, our local board is made up of our city council. The local board typically consists of 2 meetings. The first meeting consists of reading into the record all of the taxpayers that wish to appeal their property value. And then at the second meeting or reconvene is when the local board makes its decision on those values being contested. Our local board looks to appointed real estate professionals to advise them in the decision-making process. If the property owner is not satisfied with the decision of the local board, they may appeal to the Hennepin County Board of Appeal and Equalization. However, they must first appeal at the local level in order to be heard at the county. If the property owner still is not satisfied with the result of the county board, they do still have the right to appeal to the Minnesota Tax Court up until April 30th, the year taxes are due. So the option to appeal the 2026 value through tax court ends April 30th of 2027. Here's a little snapshot of our valuation notices that hit the mail today. These are generated and sent by our office, and their purpose is to inform property owners of their estimated market value and property classification as of January 2nd, 2026. This is the value that will be used to generate property tax bills due next year in 2027, and it also informs the property owner of the dates and methods of appeal I mentioned on the previous slide. And here's a quick look at the Hennepin County property tax statement, which is being sent currently. You may or may not have already gotten this. These are to be mailed in March, and they are sent by Hennepin County. The taxes calculated are based on the 2025 valuation and classification notices that we sent last March, and the only appeal option in this case would be at the Minnesota Tax Court. Here's a quick slide highlighting some important dates for our 2026 assessment. First, we had an article in the Minnetonka Memo that came out earlier this month informing residents of the upcoming value notices. On March 1st, the property tax information was updated on Hennepin County website, so if you haven't received your tax notice yet, it is available online. Our value notices were sent to the post office on March 6th and hit mailboxes today. The deadline for applications to appear on the agenda for the local board is April 3rd, and any appeals received after that will be heard on a first-come, first-served basis. The local board of equalization will appeal and equalization will meet on April 13th and reconvene on the 27th. And April 30th, 2026 is the last day to file tax court petition regarding last year's value. Lastly, the Hennepin County Board of Appeal will convene on June 15th this year. Here's the contact information for our assessing staff. Residents and taxpayers are encouraged to reach out regarding their property valuation or assessment questions. All inquiries will be directed to the appropriate staff member for that particular area or market sector. And that is all I have for you. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very well done. Thank you so much, Ms. Putz. Council, any questions? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I asked Mr. Funk, the city manager, this question this morning, but in one of the charts in the report, it was clear that the number of appeals decreased, but the amount increased. Was that, and I think that's on page 19 of the report, and was that like just one or two like big dollar commercial properties, or how did that work?
Yeah, thanks, Councilmember Calvert. I think this is the slide or the chart you're referring to. We do see sometimes, like for example, from 22 to 23, the number of appeals stayed the same. However, the total value did increase a good amount. That is due to some larger commercial properties appealing, like large office buildings that have seen some market variation recently, so it is due to some larger value properties.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, comments? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out in one of the slides, it showed that there was a 10% tax capacity decrease in commercial industrial just in the last 9 years, from 34% to 24%. And we get a lot of really good questions from concerned residents or people that are finding it increasingly difficult to pay taxes, their property taxes, and this is a huge reason why we're feeling the pinch in our single family or single household homes. And I do think, I work in St. Paul, for the city of St. Paul, where downtown is really experiencing some pretty radical devaluation of commercial properties, and it's putting a tremendous stress on residential taxpayers. And so we are not alone in this. It's kind of a national trend after COVID. People just didn't return to work, and office buildings just are not filled, and it is sometimes hard and expensive to repurpose. And for instance, we have seriously a beautiful property in the United Health building in Opus in southeast Minnetonka, and it is such a gorgeous building. It's got to be put to good use, but any kind of repurposing is extremely costly and challenging for a variety of design reasons. So I just wanted to share some of that out, because I think commercial property, we've been very lucky that commercial property values pretty much held their own in Minnetonka. That's not true in other cities, and that will provide some amount of relief. But I do think it's going to be a challenge for us, and I just really appreciate the ethical and diligent way that our assessing staff goes about doing their work. And I think it's an excellent assessment report. So I just wanted to help people understand a little bit about some of the things that you did talk about, but it's really hard to understand if you don't sit in council meetings year after year. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvert. Anybody else? All right. Well, again, very informational, a lot of very dense for us, but I think every year I look forward to reviewing it and understanding kind of where we're positioned financially. It informs, really, when we talk about the budget kickoff for next year, it kind of informs where we sit. So we appreciate that. Do we need to accept the report? Okay. So, Council, I will take a motion. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I make the motion to accept the 2026 assessment report.
And Councilmember Romali.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Calvert, a second by Councilmember Romali. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Romali.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. All right, well, we'll see more of the assessing folks over the next month and a half or so here. So, well, nice to see your faces. All right, moving on. Item 15B, resolution for Red Circle Drive Sidewalk Improvements Project. Mr. Manchester.
Thank you, Mayor Shack, Mayor and Council. For you tonight is the Red Circle Drive Improvements Project. Our recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution transferring funds from the Affordable Housing Trust. This is not...
You're out of your depth with that one.
We're sneaking. Time out. My apologies. I wouldn't know what to talk about with that, so.
Julie tricked you.
That was me. Sorry.
I can keep talking, actually. If I kind of want to start running through, our motion is to adopt the resolution accepting the plans and specs, and then authorizing the ad for bid for the Red Circle Drive project, number 23-207. And so, in line with our strategic profile, the improvement enhances infrastructure by adding a sidewalk connection. No problem. Adding the sidewalk connection between Shady Oak and the Green Line extension. So this is in line with desired outcome 5.3 to enhance safety, walkability, and connectivity of our trail system. At 10900 Red Circle Drive, you can see on the right side in the map, there's a green area. This is the area that we're looking at tonight. to make a connection from the sidewalk. There's an existing segment to the east, to the west, and then another segment in progress as part of a development to the east. This is part of a project that you've approved previously. At that time, it was 2023. When council had reviewed it, we were pending negotiations on an easement for the property that's in front of the green area. Ms. Wishnak and Chris Long from our engineering department were able to obtain the easement, which is why we delayed this. So the easement was donated for this piece. It does include the connection. It's about 750 feet, and then some storm and road improvements. The budget is from TIF money that's available. So this is the remainder of the budget from the previous project that you approved in 2023. So that's what this amount is. We don't anticipate that will be the full cost of the project, but that's the budget that does remain. In January of 30th of 2023 is when the first phase was approved. We did wait on this sidewalk extension because of that easement. Before you tonight is a consideration to authorize bids. The contract award we would come back to, dependent on council's action tonight, would be in April or May of this year, and then construction would begin this summer. Like all of our projects, we'll continue to do the communications, emails, newsletters, project update signs, construction updates, just to keep everyone informed on what's going on. And then on our website, continue to do updates for this project. I'll keep it short, and the motion would turn it back to the mayor to adopt the resolution accepting the plans and specs, and then authorize the ad for bid for Red Circle Drive sidewalk improvements, number 23607. And I'll turn it back to the mayor. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Manchester. Well, this is an exciting closing of a gap. So, council, any questions? All right, not seeing any. We can move right along. A motion? Anybody? Councilmember Maxwell.
Yeah, I move to adopt the resolution accepting plans and specifications and authorizing advertisement for bid for the Red Circle Drive sidewalk improvements, project number 23607.
Councilmember Foster Bolton.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Maxwell, a second by Councilmember Foster Bolton. The whole time I've been mayor, I've been wanting to call you by your maiden name. Miss Larson, please call roll.
Remaley.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. All right, moving right along. Item 15C, resolution for Shady Oak Road sidewalk improvements. Mr. Manchester.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council. This is very similar to the previous project, kind of in the same area. This is our resolution for the Shady Oak improvements. Motion to adopt, similar to before, to accept the plans and specs, and then authorize the ad per bid for the Shady Oak sidewalk project, improvement number 26607. It's in line with the profile as well. It's 5.3 to enhance the walkability and connectivity of our trail system. This is very similar to the other project, but this does fall along a county road, so the county does need to review this plan, which is why these plans are separated. And then the previous project was a continuation of that project as well. So very similar. This we would look at a sidewalk replacement. The gap is not there, but the sidewalk is in need of replacement. So we would look at widening. This does include at the signal to the north, some pedestrian signal modifications as well. So push buttons and other things, as well as some timing operations. It would be some road improvements just in the area where we're disturbing ADA upgrades. This does include the 2026 TIF budget, so separate from the other. That was a continuation of that project. This is the TIF funds available. Those funds are also not the cost of this project. They would include future projects as well in this area that have not fully been determined. Tonight is a consideration to authorize the bids, award the contract if council chooses to move forward in April or May, and then construction this summer. Again, we would do similar to all other projects, make sure the updates are going. We put signs out, newsletters, project updates. Our website, we make sure to do updates if you get an email blast or other things, just to keep people informed on what's going on. With that, I'll keep it short again. We're looking for a motion, council's consideration, a motion to adopt the resolution accepting the plans and specs, and then authorizing the ad for bid for the Shady Oak Sidewalk Improvements project number 26607. turn it back to the mayor for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Manchester. Council, any questions on this one? Councilmember Romelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question about the road improvements. Is that a mill and overlay, or are there other improvements going on there? And if there are we looking at bikeability as well?
Sure. Councilmember Romelli, Mayor and Council. If you can see on this map, just kind of the hatched area in the red, it's a small area. It'd be essentially a mill and overlay with maybe some grade adjustments. Mostly ADA related, just to make sure the grades work, but not a major area.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Calvert.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Go for it.
Thank you. I just, looking at the numbers in item 15C, B and C, you know, just on that little corner, that's a little chunk of change, and I just, it just gives you pause, because I am in favor of this project. I'm going to vote in favor. However, people ask us very often about, you know, how we tax and what we spend our money on, and I just wanted to point out, infrastructure, even a sidewalk, is extremely, extremely expensive now. It is just part and parcel of inflation, and this is a 450-foot section of sidewalk that's going to be $500,000. And so it kind of made me take a pause when I was reading the packet for this and the previous agenda item. I also feel like, considering the density there and the amount of traffic on that corner at Shady Oak, it makes all the sense in the world, because we have so many people that are going to need to get around safely with all of the new construction apartment buildings. So I'm in favor, but I just wanted to say to people that are listening that if you read the packet as well, it did give me pause, and it's just very unfortunate that that's just what things cost now.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may.
Please.
You know, certainly as a follow-up to Councilmember Calvert's comment, tonight's action is to authorize the bids. We'll publicly bid it, and I hope, you know, certainly this is our estimate. We hope we get a better number, but it's based on a lot of things that are occurring now, so very expensive.
Thank you, Mr. Manchester. Council, any other comments? I have a very brief comment, which is, you know, we want activation of the Opus area, and this is one of kind of two spots where there is some commercial customer facing, you know, retail and those types of things, and very much want that area to continue to succeed, and maybe that can set an example as we try to draw other retail, and we've got wish lists for the Opus area. So certainly want to make this area as attractive to walk, bike, and run in as possible. So I support it as well. All right, we're looking for a motion. Councilmember Wilburn.
I move that we accept the 2026 assessment report.
And a second? Oh, wait, no, we're on the wrong.
I'm on the wrong one, sorry.
Yep, let's, Shady Oak.
Shady Oak.
Can we get that up? There we go.
Okay. I move that we adopt the resolution accepting plans and specifications and authorizing advertisement for bid for the Shady Oak Road sidewalk improvements, project number 26607.
Thank you. And a second. Councilmember Foster Bolton.
I'll second.
All right. I got a motion by Councilmember Wilburn, second by Councilmember Foster Bolton. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Romelli.
Yes.
Copley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. All right. And 15D, regarding CEE housing loan programs. Ms. Wishnack.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This is basically some housekeeping, and so we're doing something we do pretty often. From time to time, we give you some resolutions to react to and it has to do with the monies in HRA fund as well as the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and then CEE, our partner in these programs. So if you aren't familiar, we have had an agreement with the Center for Energy and Environment since 2018. They do service our loan programs, and specifically the Minnetonka Home Enhancement and the Welcome to Minnetonka, the original one, the Down Payment Assistance Program, has been administered from them from 2018. And then in 2022, you had, we'll call it the Fifth Amendment to your contract with them. We've added the Commercial Code Compliance Program. If you remember that program, it's to help people who might be facing some kind of code issue and they need to make it safer, or maybe there's accessibility issues, what have you. The city is providing loans to help with those issues. And then in 2023, we had a Seventh Amendment, and that added your inaugural Pathways to Home Ownership program, and that was well used, as you know, and so we have lots of activity in that fund. The funding sources, though, for all those loan programs have been coming from a variety of areas. So originally there was some money coming from the Recovery Act, and then there was development fund dollars, and then HRA dollars, as well as Affordable Trust Fund dollars. So depends on the year. If you ask me what year and what fund, I'd have to go back and look at each loan program, but generally you get the idea. One of the exhibits in the document shows some dollar figures, and I want to make sure this is clear to you. It was a cumulative amount since the program began. So it isn't like today we issued 1.2 million. It's the cumulative for the Pathways program that you've done over time. So those dollar figures keep track from the beginning of the loan programs to today. So same thing with the home enhancement and the Welcome to Minnetonka down payment, and then also the code compliance loan program. So again, that's from 2018 to 2026. So moving into just the housing program, so skip out on the commercial side for a minute. So those loan programs that are administered by CEE, in the 2026 approved budget, you had dollars allocated for those loan programs. And then the Pathways program was set up through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So what happened is that council approved their EIP, and this kind of tells us what the projections are on the HRA levy, and then you finally adopt it through the budget. I tried to do this visually for you so you could figure out where these monies are going, but basically that approves an HRA levy, and then the funding flows to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and then two other programs go to through the HRA fund, or the tax levy fund. So hopefully that helps understand what these resolutions are doing and where those monies are from and where they're going to. But it's just to help us track where those monies are traveling through. So then the final adoption that we're asking for tonight is the adoption of the resolution that transfer the funds from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to the Minnetonka Pathways program and the Home Ownership Down Payment Assistance Program. And that does require 4 votes. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. All right, Council, a little bit of some complicated information. So any questions? Councilmember Foster Bolton?
And this might be repetitive, but so when I went to the housing site on our website and I clicked on Pathways to Ownership, and it says this fund is whatever, empty. We're out of funds. So now, but it also seemed like the Minnetonka loan program does similar things, like down payment on a home, your first home in Minnetonka. Right. So currently out of funding, that's what it says. So is this going to change all that? And then why do we have those two different programs?
Mayor, if I may. Councilmember Foster Bolton, so every year you run out of money in the Pathways program, so this is a pretty common issue. This action will put new money into the fund, and people will be able to continue using that. The other down payment assistance, which is lower, so it's not quite as strong. This one is up to 75,000, right? That's the strongest program, but you have to meet some income guidelines. Little less income guidelines for, not as stringent guidelines on the other program, but less money for down payment assistance. So yeah, it does replenish the dollars in those funds. And I think the complication is you have different funding sources, revenue, that you're using for different programs. And so that does complicate things, and we have to keep track of it to make sure that your previous actions on how you adopted the levy are actually executed through these actions. So it's kind of following the money with the different resolutions. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Council, any other questions? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I talked to Mr. Funk earlier today, and because recently we've had an issue with an agreement or a resolution or something that had a date that needed to be adjusted or some information. On the first page of the agreement in the packet, it has an effective date of January 1st. And so I'm wondering if, being that it is now March 9th, if it is just retroactive. And there were some other dates, just, and it talks about certain exhibits being replaced by new exhibits. So just wanting to make sure that the dates are okay and that it is truly retroactive.
Ms. Wishak.
Thank you, Mayor Shack and Councilmember Calvert. I think it follows the general budget dates. So when the budget goes into effect, January 1st is the date that it could be used. Your action isn't until tonight, obviously, with it being March 9th. You could post-date it. It doesn't matter in terms of the use of the funds, because the use of the funds are going to be after the date of your resolution. So I wouldn't say it's retroactive, because we don't have, it's not like, I'm trying to give you an example. A pathways person has come in to apply for funds, and those funds were issued already. That hasn't happened. That doesn't happen until you execute the agreement. So I would say January 1st is just because it's the budget year of 2026, if that helps.
It definitely helps. I just wanted, this was out of an abundance of caution.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Council, any other questions? Comments? All right, otherwise I would take a motion. Councilmember Coakley.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt the resolution transferring funds from Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the City of Minnetonka to the Pathways to Homeownership Down Payment Assistance Program.
Councilmember Calvert.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Coakley and a second by Councilmember Calvert. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Romailly.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Osterbolton.
Yes.
Maxwell. Yes. Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. All right. Item number 16, appointments and reappointments. We have none. Item number 17, adjournment. Councilmember Wilburn.
I move adjournment.
And Councilmember Calvert.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wilburn, a second by Councilmember Calvert. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we are adjourned. We're going to take a 1 minute break here. Anybody who doesn't have to get up, stay put, because we'll wrap this up in just a second. No pressure, Councilman. All right. Was that you? They put the timer up. Okay. All right, here we go. Today is Monday, March 9th, 2026. This is a meeting of the City of Minnetonka Economic Development Authority. I call this meeting to order. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Foster Bolton.
Here.
Maxwell. Here. Wilburn.
Here.
Calvert.
Here.
Ramey.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Shack.
Here. First item is approval of the agenda. Ms. Wishnak?
No changes.
Commissioner, I'll take a motion to approve. Commissioner Calvert?
Thank you, President. I make a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2020.
We're on the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Sorry to catch you off guard. And a second, Commissioner Ramey?
I'll second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Calvert, a second by Commissioner Ramey. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell. Yes. Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Ramey.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 4, approval of the minutes. We have one set of minutes, February 23rd, 2026, EDA minutes. Commissioner Calvert.
Thank you, President. I move approval of the February 23rd, 2026 EDA minutes.
And the second by Commissioner Foster Bolton.
A second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Calvert, a second by Commissioner Foster Bolton. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell. Yes. Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Ramey.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. Item 5, business items. A, regarding CEE housing loan programs. Ms. Wishnak.
President and Commissioners, no more comments than what I made at the council meeting. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments, Council? Not seeing any. Take a motion. Commissioner Ramey.
Thank you, President. I will make the motion to adopt the resolutions approving the 11th Amendment to the Loan Origination Agreement with CEE and accepting the transfer of funds from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund of the City of Minnetonka to the Pathways to Home Ownership Down Payment Assistance Program.
And Commissioner Calvert.
Thank you. I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ramey, a second by Commissioner Calvert. Ms. Larson, please call roll.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Maxwell. Yes. Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Ramey.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes, motion carries. Item 6 is adjournment. Commissioner Wilburn
I move adjournment.
and Commissioner Calvert.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wilburn, a second by Commissioner Calvert. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.